Welcome to the Dibley Diaries for this week. This week I wanted to think about ordinary time in the church calendar. It's the beginning of ordinary time for us. We change our liturgical colours, if we have them, to green, and it becomes part of the ordinariness of life, in that we've passed our festivals. There might be some patronal festivals, but we've finished Easter, we finished Ascension, we finished Pentecost, we finished Trinity Sunday, and now we land in ordinary time. And I've been really thinking this week about what it means for us as villages when we're celebrating things that happen in ordinary time as opposed to festivals. So there's been a big move recently to move some churches in little tiny villages to be festival only churches, and that works really well because then the whole village is involved. There might be 8, 10, at the most 12 services a year, depending on how this is working for people. But I've been a bit challenged about that this week. What does it mean if people think God is only there in the extraordinary times? What about the ordinary, boring times, maybe the painful times, maybe the difficult times for people? What are we saying about God if we are only celebrating God at festivals and we're only encouraging our communities to worship at festivals? It's a real challenge because festival churches are really good at encouraging the whole village to feel part of the church and to have something of God to celebrate, and that is great. But also, God is there in the ordinary times, in the boring times, in the green times of our life when nothing exciting is happening. Green is such a good time for a colour for ordinary time in the UK because often a lot of our life is very green in the UK. It's not just summer, it goes through. Just greenness is a good colour for ordinariness. And the challenge is, yes, we can encourage people to come to church to celebrate festivals. That's super. But how do we encourage people to understand that God is just as interested in our ordinary times as he is in the festival times in our lives? Thought for the week this week is based on Luke chapter 8, beginning at verse 26, and it goes on then for the gospel reading for this week to be the description of a confusing miracle. I mean, a lot of Jesus's miracles are confusing, but this is a confusing miracle. It has someone who's very, very unwell, who is described as possessed by demons. Jesus has a supernatural conversation with the demons who beg to be placed into a herd of swine, of pigs, and then the pigs come off the cliff, and they sort of run down the hillside and into the sea, and then and the man is better, and when the man is better, Jesus tells him to go and tell everybody about what has happened. And I've been thinking about this story this week in relation to the fact that it's ordinary time. This is just ordinary time now. We have left all the festivals behind us. It's ordinary time, but then this remarkable gospel reading is the first reading that we have for ordinary time. Many years ago now, I had a conversation with a vicar who I really respected, older, much more experienced than me, and we were talking about supernatural experiences, and he said, I don't want to think about them as supernatural if what we believe about God, what we say we believe about God, is what we really believe about God. This is a natural experience. It's just part of the natural, it's not supernatural. And I think it's really interesting having this gospel reading for today. It's quite a puzzling reading. I don't think anyone really knows exactly why the pigs are involved. And we know that someone was very, very unwell and he is made better. There's a healing. And then the man is told to talk to others about me, to say to others what Jesus has done for him. So as we move into ordinary time, is this what we're to expect? Are we to expect things that we don't really understand? Things from Jesus, things from God that we don't understand? Things that look desperate, situations that look impossible, things that we don't know how on earth they're going to be put right. Well, yes, especially at the moment, I think there's something to be said for that, for being ordinary experience. But then Jesus interacts with the man and with the pigs in a way which we don't expect and we don't understand. But the man is healed. There has been extraordinary healing in this man's life, and also in the lives of his friends and relatives who had no longer any way of helping him. They had no way of helping him. Jesus was their only hope in this situation. They had no way of helping him out. And then the man had to tell people about what Jesus had done. And that is a very ordinary job for us as Christians, to say and explain to people what Jesus has done. Even the things when we don't understand quite why Jesus has done it like that. When we see healing, when we see wholeness, when we see God's love in action, we are to tell people what God has done, even when we don't understand the mechanics or the whys or wherefores or all those sorts of things. So this week, as we move into ordinary time and we remember this very confusing story, it's an opportunity for us to really reflect on what's ordinary and what's extraordinary, what's natural, what's supernatural, and what it is that we should be saying about God, because in the end there was a man whose family and friends had no idea could be healed. And then in a mysterious way, Jesus healed that person. The Dibley moment of the week this week is about a time when there was a superstar in one of the villages where I was working. This was a village where quite often there were superstars who would come through for different reasons, but actually this particular superstar was a pig. This was pre-Peppa Pig superstardom, but this was the thing that everyone was talking about at school or in the village. There was a pig known as Mrs. Pig who had just had a litter of piglets. She lived just beside one of the most popular footpaths, only a field away from the main village, and so the progress of Mrs. Pig and Mrs. Pig's piglets was the hot topic of conversation in the village. How were the piglets doing? How many piglets were there? Actually, that was a discussion amongst the school children. We would be asked if we could go and see Mrs. Pig after school, because you know she was really close. Only one field away we could see Mrs. Pig and all her piglets. So yes, sorry Beyonce, who was in the village at one point around that time. Mrs. Pig was the superstar that week. Well, that's it for the Dibley Diaries for this week. I pray that you and your village, however large or small, have a really blessed week where you can feel God's presence in the ordinary of village life.